What's going on, everyone? We all know the Buddy Hield and Miles Turner trade to the Los Angeles Lakers for Russell Westbrook and some draft compensation. It was the deal that many people to this day still really want to get done. Many people believe that Buddy Hield and Miles Turner are the missing links we need to be legit contenders. And I mean, look, Anthony Davis and LeBron James have been phenomenal, right? They're good enough together to keep us in games against some of the best players and best teams in the league. So imagine if we did have a guy like Buddy Hield, Miles Turner. Consistency is key, right? We need guys that can come in consistently night in and night out, help Anthony Davis and LeBron James. So maybe these guys are the piece. But at this point, the deal kind of seems to be done, right? You never know what's on the horizon, right? Maybe Indiana starts going down and these wins that they're getting, maybe they start falling apart and they don't end up getting those wins. You see a lot of teams, they start really hot or they start pretty consistently, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, the switch just flips and they start going the other direction, right? And Indiana was a team that went into the season with the intent of tanking, right? I mean, the deal was essentially done for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner for Russell Westbrook, and the Lakers would have gotten them. We heard the reports right before media day, right? The Lakers ended up backing out of the deal, and the deal didn't get done. And so many people wonder, like, what would have happened? Where would Indiana be? And Indiana, right now, a lot of the idea is that, like, hey, Indiana is they're in the hunt, right? They're there. They're in the playoffs. They're a team that is pretty good this year, but in reality, they're not winning anything, and Indiana knows they're not winning anything this year. That's why they had the intentions of trading Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, and that could still be on the horizon, right? What does Miles Turner want? Does Miles Turner want to stay in Indiana? All right, like, he's himself publicly said, like, if I was the Lakers, I would take a look at me. Like, what if the Lakers do re-engage and say, hey, like, we want Miles Turner, and Miles Turner's like, hey, I want you to trade me. Like, what do you do in that point? Right? Because there are reports that have recently came out that Indiana is looking to maybe extend Miles Turner. But does he want that? And if you're Indiana, do you want to lose him for nothing? And if you're going to trade Miles Turner, you might as well trade Buddy Hield to clear off the cap space. So that way you can kind of retool and get some pieces and stuff like that to rebuild next season, right? That would be the goal. That would be the idea. And so this deal could eventually be reignited later on down the line. Most likely, if it does happen, it will be closer to the trade deadline. I don't think it would happen anytime soon, but you never know. Maybe the Lakers can't find any other deals and they end up caving. But we have some new information as to why the deal didn't get done on media day. Now, we know the Lakers backed out, and the thought was they wanted to see why, like, what could the Lakers do with Russell Westbrook? And do we really want to give up all of our assets to go get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner? And if it doesn't work, you're stuck, right? Because there are serious questions about Miles Turner and Anthony Davis, even more so now. In the offseason, Anthony Davis wanted to play power forward. You could play him power forward. Now he's just dominating that center. Do you really want to take him away? And if you go get Miles Turner, now you basically are going to utilize him as, like, what, a wing threat on offense? And at that point, it's like, why not go get a perimeter guy? Why not go get a 3-and-D guy that can just always play 3-and-D and play the perimeter? Because our problem isn't the interior. Like, we're not having issues with, the interior defense. We're having issues with the perimeter defense. So it's a big concern now. And I understand why the Lakers are reluctant, even more so now than ever, to go do that deal. But the original reason why it got denied, it appears it was Jeanie Buss. So we got a report from The Athletic that Jeanie Buss said no to trading Russell Westbrook for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. And what was said is Sam Amick of The Athletic looked into how the reluctance by Buss played a role in Westbrook staying with the Lakers, where he's now being used as a key reserve. Right, Russell Westbrook is coming off the bench as the sixth man. He's kind of really thrived in that role. He's had bad moments, he's had good moments, but for the most part, the consensus is like, okay, like, no, he's really embraced it, done a great job. He's played solid defense. He's really kind of just became their playmaker, and he's a huge reason for Anthony Davis's sort of resurgence. But also was added, Westbrook may not be thrilled with the role, but his improved play intensity speaks volumes about his willingness to accept the reality that it's the right move for this team, Amick wrote. This is why Lakers owner Jeanie Buss was known to be reluctant to give up on Westbrook in those days leading into training camp, when they came so close to doing the well-chronicled deal with Indiana that would have sent Westbrook to the Pacers in exchange for big man Miles Turner and sharpshooter Buddy Hield. So again, looks like Jeanie Buss was the one that said no. Like, hey, let's see what you can do with Russell Westbrook. Let's get this. So it looks like Rob Pelinka was very likely going to do the deal. And that was the reports then, that like Rob Pelinka was seriously looking at this deal and really considered doing this deal to go get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. And at the time, there were a lot of questions, right? Miles Turner and his injury history, right? He hasn't been the most healthy, fit. Like, would he be able to fit next to Anthony Davis? Like, that's a real thing. Buddy Hield would have been great next to LeBron and AD, but defensively, he's basically an open door. Like, you just walk past him. So, like, that's a big concern. And they were looking at it like, would these guys be enough to actually be a contender, right? Now, in hindsight, maybe they're looking at it as the opposite, right? Maybe they're like, man, we should have done the deal, right? Because Anthony Davis has really blossomed into that number one guy, right? So that was a big reluctancy as well in the offseason. Anthony Davis, like, LeBron's only getting older. Anthony Davis isn't really the guy that we thought he would be. So do we really want to go trade everything? And it's like, now we're basically counting on a 38-year-old LeBron James to glue it all together. And if he starts to decline, we're in trouble. Well, now Anthony Davis is playing like that number one guy, like the best player on the planet. And you got LeBron James taking a step back a bit. Not entirely. I'd like him to take a little bit more of a step back. But maybe he would if we had more help, right? But LeBron is, showing that, like, the willingness to allow AD to be the guy. Maybe in hindsight, they're looking back and going, man, we should have done the Miles Turner and Buddy Hield deal. Because if you had that, this Anthony Davis next to this LeBron James, next to what Miles Turner and Buddy Hield are doing this season, like we may be off to the races and be a real contender. That is a real possibility. Now, in the same breath, one, if you did do that in the offseason, would Anthony Davis have played the way that he's playing right now? Right? Like, because he didn't really do this in the beginning of the season. He didn't do this until we were like really in a hole. Like, let's say the Lakers started off and they were like, let's say 6-3 or something like that, right? Like, does Anthony Davis come out of his shell? And because he has Miles Turner, Buddy Hield, and LeBron James to kind of rely on, and does LeBron James kind of take that step back? Also, Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, they're not going to have the same production very likely that they're having in Indiana right now, because they're not going to get the shots that they're getting now. Although you could argue maybe their efficiency is better. So maybe, yes, they get less shots, but they're still able to put up the same numbers. Because you got LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They're going to be drawing a lot of attention, right? So Miles Turner, maybe he's more efficient, more effective. Buddy Hield maybe he's getting more wide open looks and he's a sharpshooter. There's always the potential either way, right? There's the potential that this could really work and really blossom and really kind of turn the Lakers around. Again, it's a deal that I'm not against them doing, right? Like, if the Lakers did this trade today, okay, right? Like, if we got an announcement while you're watching this video that Buddy Hield and Miles Turner went to the Lakers, for Russell Westbrook and both first-round picks, cool. I wouldn't be upset. Be a little, like, hesitant. Like, let's not just assume this is going to be the greatest thing ever, right? Because Lakers, especially, historically, have had lots of like moves, like let's go all in, and it didn't work. Think of like Gary Payton and Karl Malone. That was considered a perfect compliment, right? You got Shaq and you got Kobe. Go get Mailman. He'd fit perfectly next to Shaq, right? He would be great. Gary Payton, you got the glove right next to Kobe Bryant. Now you got basically all your pieces. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Like, we're off to the races. And look, they did make the finals and very likely might have won had injuries not been an issue, right? Karl Malone was basically non-existent. He got hurt, and that kind of made everything go downhill because he was arguably their best player that year. He was great for them and very consistent. And, Shaq and Kobe, all the feuding and stuff, it was an absolute mess, right? And then look at like Steve Nash and Dwight Howard. Like, people look at Steve Nash and go, man, like, the Lakers should have never got him. He was playing like an MVP the year before. He was putting up insane numbers. He led basically, it was him and Sean Marion to the playoffs. Like, literally, like, that team should not have been in the playoffs, but Steve Nash played so out of his mind. He was averaging like 15 and 12 that season or something crazy like that, and just playing great basketball. 50, 40, 90, all that stuff. So again, it was the idea of like, we get to keep Powell. Powell's a good enough shooter and from the mid-range stuff, so you could have the spacing. Dwight Howard gets to be Dwight Howard. Steve Nash is the orchestrator that can put it all together, and then you still have Kobe Bryant, right? That was the idea. And you can make an argument that that's kind of what this would be, right? Anthony Davis, Miles Turner, they're both good enough shooters. They both got size. They could kind of play off of each other. You got LeBron James who could come in and be, the Magic Johnson, sharing the ball, sharing the everything. You got Buddy Hield. You got the sharpshooter that you need around all these guys. So, yes, I could see the vision, but we've seen it doesn't always work out. The difference is if it doesn't work out, you're stuck. That's it. You have no way out. Because as soon as the Lakers get Miles Turner, they're probably going to extend him because they're not going to trade everything to run the risk of him walking away. So you're going to have to pay him whatever he wants. And he wants $20+ million, right? If injuries become a factor or if anything happens or if it just doesn't work, Miles Turner has had trouble working with guys, with bigs before. He has trouble working with Anthony Davis. That's a real concern. And can Anthony Davis start knocking down shots, right? I mean, all of his dominances came at the rim. He's improved his mid-range and three-point shooting has gotten better, but not like what it was in the bubble, right? Like if he was playing bubble Anthony Davis, like he is in regards to like the low block, like down low. He is playing probably the best of his career in that regard. But shooting wise, he's not shooting like he was in the bubble. Like bubble Davis was like 40% from three on like 3-4 attempts a game. That's a big difference to what Anthony Davis is now. Like all of his shots are at the rim. So if he can't shoot efficiently enough, you might just neutralize Anthony Davis in many ways. Or Miles Turner, you're shooting him as a thing. So again, it's not a perfect factor. So I don't completely knock Jeanie for it. I get it. You want to be cautious. And I've said it before. They have to look at everything. Us as fans, we have the luxury to only look at what could be. If they do that deal, man, Anthony Davis, Miles Turner, good luck trying to score in the paint on those two. You got LeBron James to put it all together. You got the sharpshooter that the Lakers desperately need, and Buddy Hield, most three-pointers made in the last, several years, like all that stuff. Like we as fans have the luxury to look at it that way and look at the glass half full. Right? But Rob Pelinka has to look at it both ways. So does Jeanie Buss. She has to look at it as like, okay, well, what's the worst case? What happens if this doesn't work? What's our out? Do we even have an out? Because teams aren't going to help you, right? You're not going to be able to get value. Like, yeah, Miles Turner is going to have value. Buddy Hield probably has value next season as an expiring contract. But if you have no assets or anything, like teams aren't going to say, oh yeah, we're going to give you fair value when you don't have any other choice. So that's something to consider as well. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Are you bothered by this? Are you okay with this? Do you think that they should go and try to do this deal now? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear them. Let me know down in the comment section below.